being taken away by Think Before You Sleep, aka the greatest commentary channel on YouTube.
Gone into the event yet?
Absolutely, because you're not allowed into the event.
Why not though?
Because you're not here to support the event. You're here to aggravate the situation.
So, but it's a public event and we're not allowed to go inside?
They don't want you here.
How do you know that? We haven't even stepped foot in.
Okay.
You came out of the vehicle and said that we cannot go into the event. No one in the event said that we cannot step foot in there.
Okay.
If you think that officers in the government aren't overstepping their boundaries and taking people's rights away right from beneath them, I don't know what to tell you. It's very obvious. You can't remove somebody from a public space when they haven't even done anything. It's like when they locked down Nick Fuentes' entire bank account with all of his money in it because they didn't like his politics. It's crazy how much the government oversteps, as well as people abuse officers to enact things that are unconstitutional. It's disgusting.
So immediately we have an officer who's breaking the law. I'm not expecting that the police understand legal issues as well as a lawyer does, but this is like an obvious violation of the First Amendment.
Yep. Are we allowed to step in there or not?
You don't have you are allowed to do whatever you need to do. You can use your First Amendment right, but you can't go past this barrier. You're not here to support gay pride.
Yeah, but no one said we can't be in the event yet.
I'm telling you can't be in the event.
Fire this person.
Insane.
Not only is she fat and we should not be paying officers to be obese.
Unironically, what the fuck is a fat bitch gonna do as a police officer? Cry? Like, what are they gonna do? Like, they're gonna shoot somebody on accident whenever they get scared. Every police officer should have to take a yearly fitness exam. And also, I'll be real, women should not be on-the-ground police officers. They shouldn't be firefighters. They shouldn't be in infantry. They should be in supportive roles. Have her back in the fucking office, right? Not because we're misogynistic, but I don't want to see women die in a man's field, because it is. You think women should be on the front line in the wars? Why? You just want more fighting the slaughter? No thanks. We need them for the furthering of the human race.
No amount of continuing education training is going to undo the conditioning in her brain that makes her think it's okay to legally silence someone because she's offended. Now, for context, this situation took place in Fort Worth, Texas, of all places.
Jesus.
Texas is not as red as people think, but in Fort Worth...
They always say it is. In Texas? The reddest state of them all? Dude, Texas has been invaded. Bro, Austin, Texas is considered as blue as California. But nobody wants to talk about that because they're fucking liars.
Texas, some Christian evangelists went on to spread the word of God at an all-ages pride event called Trinity Pride Fest. A police officer took issue with that.
All-ages pride events should be banned. That is literally a festival to groom children. That is fucking disgusting.
And acted without consulting the leaders of the event to see if they actually had a problem with the Christians being there. And in regards to this event, what I've been seeing more and more of these days is a strong lack of understanding of the reasons for why we have rights like the right to free speech. So let's talk about it. All right, so as much as you may think that this is the first time that humanity has ever had any of these conversations, the reality of the matter is that these types of conversations about proper governance and rights have been repeated for thousands of years. You can read Plato's Republic from 2,000 years ago and see that Karl Marx wasn't the first person to think of communism, nor were we the first people to say that idea was stupid. Speaking of, let's go back to that chick who clearly should not be a police officer.
Yeah, you're making up your own laws. You're an officer and you don't know that. You're telling us that we can't use it.
I've also worked other protests before to where we have arrested people that have used amplified noise.
All right, so we're not allowed to use it or else we'll get arrested is what you're saying.
Depends.
Depends on what?
The decibel, right? Depends on what you're doing. Depends on what you're saying.
Okay.
You can offend somebody.
For the
Yeah, we're going to arrest you if you offend somebody. Welcome to America in 2026. What a joke.
those of you
This policewoman needs to be fired immediately. And the people who hired her should be held responsible. What a joke.
who didn't catch the context, she was saying that their megaphone couldn't run over 80 decibels, which is about the sound that a blender makes. Now, to play devil's advocate, personally, I think that these evangelical street preachers that show up to like every convention are kind of a nuisance, and I think their methods do a lot more to turn people away from Christianity than they do to convert them.
It does.
However, they do have the right to be there because they have the right to protest, and honestly, if these cops are going to consistently allow the LGBT pride community to walk around undressed around children and expose those kids to their fetishes, then certainly a guy saying a couple things about Jesus on a megaphone should be fine.
I agree. And dude, these all ages pride events are like, oh yeah, we have an all ages porn site, an all ages sex club. Oh, okay, so you mean a pedophile breeding ground?
I mean, tons of people who go to pride parades should be on the sex offender registry. But I wasn't kidding when I said that this cop should be fired. She's been caught multiple times on camera blatantly violating people's rights.
Jesus.
To clarify, this next clip is a different police encounter with the same officer.
If someone is offended by your talking, then we have a problem.
That is a constitutional violation of our rights. If you shut us down,
No, if they are offended by your speech, okay, then I'll write you a ticket and we'll go from there.
Unbelievable.
Wait, you're going to take us for offensive speech?
Yes, absolutely.
Are you
If someone's
serious?
offended-
You're going to cite us for
Yes, it's
offensive
called disorderly
speech.
conduct.
That's
Oh,
no.
Yes, it is.
Disorderly conduct has to be accompanied by conduct.
I'm guessing that this is also some religious thing, though maybe these guys should reconsider their word placement in case there is an unfortunate crop. But after seeing these encounters, honestly, I think that just firing this cop is the lenient option
I
because
agree.
it turns out that the female cop wasn't the only problem. Here's a third encounter from a member of the Fort Worth Police Department.
Can you tell her, too, that she can't cite us for speech is offensive because she threatened to cite us if we have offensive speech?
It depends on what you're saying, who's offended. Free speech does not include the...
No threats, no threats, no threats, no
Hey, if
threats.
you make fun of somebody, if you call them certain words and they feel offended by that, unfortunately, that is the part of the...
So if I call
conduct.
somebody, and I'm just saying this for clarification, if I say you're a and they get offended, you're going to cite me.
That is a Class C ticket, unfortunately.
If I call a biological male a male, and he says I'm offended, I'm going to whatever. Is that a citable offense if he's offended by that speech?
Man, we're talking gray area right now.
I'm genuinely
Gray area right now because who knows where the world's going to be in 20 years. Holy fuck.
curious.
Sure, I don't believe I would cite that for offensive language. Offensive language to me is calling somebody
N-word.
N-word, curse words.
We don't curse.
I can't believe calling someone a F slur or a N slur is a criminal offense. Has anyone ever been arrested for calling someone a cracker? There is no clear, widely reported recent case of a person in the United States being arrested solely for calling a white man a cracker. Pure verbal insults of this type are generally protected by the First Amendment. Wow. But you call someone an N-word or you call a guy, and now you're getting arrested.
For preachers.
Sure, no, I agree. But it's more like you call somebody a male, I don't necessarily find that offensive unless they come up to
You don't, but what if they do?
That's what I'm saying. If they come up and say, hey, I'm offended by that, and you continue to do that, well, then that's just becoming offensive.
So what if I'm offended by what they say? Like they come up telling me this and then the other, swearing at me, will they get cited?
Are you offended by it?
I'm offended by all of this. I'm offended by seeing half-naked men running around with children.
Yep.
I am deeply offended by that.
Correct. Unfortunately, there's not much on our side to do anything.
I will say that
Oh, sorry, we're going to have to let these groomers continue exposing themselves to children because, you see, actually, holy fuck.
to clarify, based on context that I removed to shorten the
Jesus.
clip, that it seems like this officer is against the anti-free speech policies that are being described. However, he just said that the Fort Worth Police Department has given training telling their officers to cite people with disorderly conduct for swearing. To be clear, if you were to, I don't know, tell this cop to go fuck herself or called her a slur, that is protected speech. They aren't allowed to cite you for doing that, no matter how offensive they think your words are. The Fort Worth Police Department needs to be sued into oblivion. So
Agreed.
if you're a Texas lawyer, this is your chance to make a name for yourself.
Yeah!
Though more and more, it seems like there is a strong positive correlation between people's reading levels not being sufficient enough to comprehend the text of the Bill of Rights and people thinking that you should get to arrest someone for disagreeing with you. And like I said, as much as you may think that this is a new battle because it might be your first experience with this kind of thing, know that the reason why people from 200 years ago were smart enough to think to write laws like the First Amendment or the Fourth Amendment, which is a law against unreasonable searches and seizures that, due to cell phones, is actually more relevant today than it was in the 1700s, then know that it's because that while technology may have
I'm going to say this. I think the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, I think they need a balance update. I do. I think we need patch notes. Birthright citizenship was not in mind for motherfuckers flying over from India to take our engineer jobs. Birthright citizenship wasn't in mind for Somalians that want to come over here and take all of our fucking welfare, right? Like, things have changed so much and our systems are so old, they need to be updated immediately. I would vote for any president that would update this shit to be more fit for modern standards. Maybe Marco Rubio can save us. I don't know.
changed, human psychology has not, and because of that, we have to be reminded of these principles over and over again. And the main reason why we have to have this conversation so many times is because there are always going to be people who think that rules should apply to you, but not to them.
You can call me racist if you want, but if I see like a cutie patootie white girl selling something cute in the TikTok shop that I really want, like I'll add it to my cart. But then if I see a black baddie is selling the same thing, I will literally go delete it from my cart and re-add it using the black girl's link so that she gets the commission instead.
Openly racist.
Wait, what the oh, I thought she was beige and then she became retarded.
See like a cutie patootie white girl selling something cute in the TikTok shop that I really want, like I'll add it to my cart. But then if I see a black baddie is selling the same thing, I will literally go delete it from my cart and re-add it using the black girl's link so that she gets the commission instead.
Wow, you're so progressive. Get it, girl. Wow. For a second, my heart warmed by seeing a fucking Indian actually talk about a white person in well regard. That's how long it's been since I've seen someone who looks like that actually speak kind of white people. It's actually so insane. Openly fucking racist, openly promoted. Insane.
Racist statements from leftists would have been a shocking bit of irony a few years back, but now it's super common.
Yep.
Though it's great that they aren't trying to hide it anymore with abstract terminology like they used to.
The vast diaspora of Asian American experiences in this country is really connected and rooted in fighting against white supremacy culture. If we continue to be complacent in thinking that representation is enough, we will never get better. Representation is not enough. Race, class narratives and racial identity and education about the role of race in the history of this country needs to be ubiquitous in the educational institutions, need to be ubiquitous in political systems.
By fighting white supremacy and representation, she means she wants to remove white people from positions of power in favor of, in this case, Asians, and by education about the role of race.
And it sucks because white people and Eastern Asians should be happy working together because we're the ones who are the most well integrated into the United States, as well as the ones who commit the least amount of crimes. I don't get it, bro. I don't get it.
She means she wants to erase white culture when history is taught in schools and replace it with the history of races that did not sacrifice their lives during the founding of America. I mean, she talks like being white is a disease.
My proximity to whiteness continues, right? My son is biracial. He's half white and half Korean, and I think navigating, what his identity is and how people perceive him is always at the back of my mind as well.
She acts like her son is diseased for being half white. Now, personally, I find this offensive, and personally, I find her statements to be incredibly racist, especially considering that she already has a country where Asians are represented and in positions of power called South Korea.
Yep.
However, do you think those cops from Fort Worth, Texas would fine this DSA candidate for saying something that offends me? Of course not. If the officer agrees with it, then it's not offensive. It's socially acceptable racism, and the existence of people like those cops is why the First Amendment was written. Free speech laws are written to protect speech that people find offensive. However, the reason why so many people don't understand that and why so many people don't understand why we have the first 10 amendments of the Constitution, also known as the Bill of Rights, is because there has been an active movement from people who hate America where they are intentionally using language tricks to misinform people so that they throw away rights that the founders of America died to give to them.
We have to concurrently shift culture in order to shift laws and regulations.
Literally.
I have never seen someone so obsessed with the idea that 6% of the population, white people, are in control of everything on earth. It's insane. It is fucking insane how we have the United States of America, where 6% of the population, and they're convinced that we are responsible for all the wrongdoing in the entire world. Now I know how the Jews feel.
Admitting to it, literally admitting to trying to change American culture so that we don't value things like the Bill of Rights. Now, for those who are confused, rights have a specific meaning. Free medical care is not a right, it's a bribe for the most part. I understand that this can be difficult to process in the modern day when much of our language has been intentionally distorted to confuse younger people, like when they call America a democracy when actually we're a republic. But a right is not some taxpayer-funded service. A right is a thing that the government is not allowed to do to you. For example, the government is not allowed to punish you without telling you the specific reason for why you're being punished. If you're wondering what the psychological reason for that is, then look at all the people who get banned on social media without being given a reason why. 90% of the time, we have to guess what we did wrong.
Yep.
At least the government is not allowed to do that. Well, they certainly aren't supposed to do that, but they will try to find ways to circumvent constitutional protections, like throwing a disorderly conduct charge at someone as a way to illegally censor them. So when you look at the Bill of Rights, know that these amendments were not written by ignorant people of the past who didn't know as much as we know now. These amendments were written as protections in U.S. law by super smart, well-read people, and they wrote in these specific things because they are things that tyrannical governments always try to do. In fact, if you think this is the only time the government has tried to throw a disorderly conduct charge at someone to criminalize protected speech, you would be wrong. That's where Shiloh Hendricks comes in.
Just remember that your First and Second Amendment rights can be completely taken away from you if someone lies with zero proof. That's how weak we are becoming as a country. That's how much the power is now imbalanced.
Call the child the word?
None of your fucking business.
It is my own business. You call him an
It took my son's stuff.
so that gives you the right to call the child 5-year-old and the N-word.
A black kid steals a baby's possession. This woman calls him an N-word. And the guy recording this video, by the way, is a child predator. And he's at a child's playground recording. And we're questioning the white woman trying to get her son's stuff back because she said a mean word. This is how warped we've become.
That's what he's gonna act.
That's
like.
what you're gonna call him.
That's what he's gonna act like.
You know, that's a hate speech. And you can be recorded for that.
I don't give a shit.
Huh. Okay, we'll see about that, what the internet has to say about you.
Remember this? That was Shiloh Hendricks being filmed and threatened by a guy who might be a rapist, but his case was mysteriously dropped. Outside of that, he's been arrested
mysteriously
multiple times, one of them being a conviction for assault. So Shiloh called a child a word after alleging that he stole from her bag. An 8-year-old child, by the way, not a 5-year-old. This moment went viral after Carmelo Anthony was given hundreds of thousands of dollars, much of it by racist black people.
$620,000 to Carmelo Anthony because he killed a white boy in cold blood.
Who were happy that a white kid was murdered. And a part of the virality of this event was because people were mad that Give Send Go allowed socially acceptable racism on Carmelo Anthony's page for weeks from donor comments.
Yep.
But the minute people started posting racist things on Shiloh's page, comments were shut down. Keep in mind that all of this is legally protected speech. But there's an update to Shiloh's case, and believe it or not, just recently, more than a year after the event in the park, the government has decided to press criminal charges against Shiloh for calling a kid a word. Guess what the charge was? Disorderly conduct.
I want to remind you, Shiloh Hendricks, who called a little kid who was stealing her son's stuff the N-word, got charged faster than DeCarlos Brown, the man who killed Irina Zarutska in cold blood on camera. He has still not been charged.
And they tried to put her in jail for 6 months for it.
Imagine
3
that.
months for actions against the child and 3 months for actions against the guy who was chasing her and filming her.
They ought to be ashamed of themselves. The prosecutor should be ashamed of himself. The judge should be ashamed of herself. I had a battle here for 4 days on a stupid misdemeanor, disorderly conduct. This is nuts. By the way, let's make something clear. They didn't convict him with the child. No, they convicted her on the video with the cameraman.
Imagine that.
The disorderly conduct.
She merely quoted the word to the guy with the camera, a criminal repeat offender with charges for fucking children, and she gets charged with disorderly conduct for doing what he said he wanted her to do.
It's about the cameraman.
That was Shiloh's lawyer, and how the hell did she catch a disorderly conduct conviction against a cameraman who was chasing her down, provoking her, and threatening to use a recording to blackmail her, which resulted in her getting doxxed and having her social security number leaked? By the way, female judge, of course.
You think having a female judge is bad? Try having a female Indian judge who was there off of DEI. Imagine that.
Of course. And this all took place in Minnesota, the Somalian capital of America. So, of course, again, they literally changed the state flag to cater to Somalians, half of which aren't even legally in the U.S. I wonder what the racial demographic of the jury was. Outside of that, people call kids words for misbehaving all the time. Are you going to arrest someone for calling a kid a brat or a delinquent? And here's the serious irony of all of this. If you can throw people in jail for calling kids the N-word, then it's about to get extremely uncomfortable for the black community as there is plenty of video evidence of them on Twitter regularly referring to kids by the N-word.
It was like I was fighting the prosecutor and the judge. It was like I'm taking on two parties at the same time. GoFundMe. My investigator was going to testify that this page with Shire Jamali's name on it. 5-year-old. The kid's 9. 5-year-old. $340,000 he raised. The judge would not let me show it to the jury. This prosecutor is telling the judge, oh, how do we know this is real? How do we know this is real? So anyone can make this up.
By the way, a 9-year-old stealing from a 1-year-old is fucking insane.
Go online right now, today, right now. Go on that page, unless they run and take it down. Scroll down. He has an open GoFundMe. He said on the stand he does not. He lied and lied and lied and lied.
Yeah, the GoFundMe.
Oh, bro, I learned that you are very much allowed to lie blatantly in fucking court. It's insane. And the people do not get punished whatsoever when there's just blatant lying going on in court. All you gotta say is, oh, I misremembered. Fucking nuts. It is actually fucking nuts. My stupid ass thing you have to go in court and tell the truth. Apparently that's old school. Apparently new school is just lying your fucking ass off.
Still up, and Shiloh's lawyer is mad that he wasn't allowed to show the jury that the parent of the child and the NAACP seem to have colluded together and committed fraud to garner more sympathy by telling a bunch of GoFundMe donors that the child was 5 when he was in fact 8 years old, and they raised $300K in 2 days by doing that.
Imagine that.
Of course, they reminded all of us that these people are not Americans by putting some of the GoFundMe page in Star Wars language. Why do we let...
Hadal kosu bakse wanadiki dale wilka riakari dipka logo geste magalala Rochester, Minnesota. Rochester, Minnesota. Waksayna yihinsidan anako awala diki dale kunagariaka ledibate ye. Are we summoning a Wookiee? What the fuck?
These people into our country, especially considering that the purpose of this GoFundMe page is a bunch of immigrants trying to get rid of protected speech. Immigrants who don't even speak English.
Right? Mr. Jamali takes the stand. Wouldn't answer any question I asked him. He sat there like this. Oh, I don't understand. He looked at his interpreter. I don't understand. I don't understand. Over and over and over again.
I mean, considering that his father allegedly doesn't speak English, did the kid even understand the slur?
Right.
Also, not that the age of the child matters. Free speech is free speech.
Yep.
You're allowed to call kids names. And unless she was violently screaming at the child or physically assaulting him, which there's no corroborating evidence of, then I have to say that I may think that it's unethical to call a kid the N-word, but it's not illegal. Yes, I think it was wrong for Shiloh to refer to a child that way, but make no mistake, what they're going to do is take a morally gray example like this, try to get a conviction, and if they succeed, eventually you're going to get arrested for criticizing people on Facebook like they do in England. That's why the legal standard has to be maintained when it comes to criminal punishment, regardless if you agree with her behavior or not.
Absolutely.
And what I really don't appreciate is a bunch of foreigners who don't even have the courtesy to learn English coming into our country to change our laws and tell us what to do. I mean, this shit is rampant.
Les pido que sean campeones de un cambio a la ley de migración. Necesitamos una vía a la ciudadanía.
We need a path to citizenship for those of us that have been present at least 7 years in this country. It is not just that someone like me, who has been in this country since 1989.
37 years she's lived here illegally. She has to use a translator because she doesn't speak English, and she has the audacity to demand citizenship. Do Americans have so much...
If you can't speak English, you do not deserve to be an American citizen. And I believe that for every single country. If I can't speak Japanese, I should not be allowed to be a citizen in Japan. If I can't speak in flicks, I don't deserve to be a citizen in Africa. If I can't speak Australian, then good eye, mate. I need to get the fuck out. It's really that easy.
Self-hatred that they would allow an entitled person like this to break our laws to enter the country and then tell us what to do? Would you let someone break into your house, refuse to follow your rules, and then through a translator tell you that you have to let them live there? Going back to Shiloh, to re-emphasize this, they wanted to give her 3 months in jail for saying a word. Technically, they tried to put her in jail for 6 months, but the charges against the child were dropped. Keep in mind that Shiloh is a parent, and they tried to alienate a mother from her 2-year-old child for 3 months because she said a word that she was asked to say.
Yep.
He asked her to say it, and they charged her with disorderly conduct against.
He asked her to say it 7 times, and that got her charged with disorderly conduct.
Him.
Okay, why don't you have the balls to say it right now again?
So where's the sympathy for her kid?
There it is.
Fortunately, the 3 months was reduced to probation, but also, are they going to pursue the same charges against Sharmak Omar, the guy who was filming, who repeatedly said the N-word in front of children, as he pursued Shiloh and her child? No, of course not.
Of course not.
His racist comments were socially acceptable, so he doesn't have to pay a $1,000 fine and go on probation like Shiloh has to. Well, if she loses the appeal. Here's something worse. You know that guy, D. Carlos Brown, who was on camera stabbing Irina Zarutska to death?
Man. Still not convicted. Still not held accountable when it happened on camera. Same fucking brain.
Yeah, he still hasn't even gone through trial yet after almost a year.
Yep.
So at this point, I just consider all these people to be traitors. If a judge wants to, as far as the lawyer reports, be incredibly hostile towards an American woman.
I shit you not, chat. Do you want to know why he hasn't stood trial? No joke. He was considered too retarded to stand trial. In full quote, mentally unfit to stand trial. Imagine that.
For a nonsense trial while favorably treating foreigners who defrauded donors out of hundreds of thousands of dollars, then, well, that's a traitor and she should be punished accordingly, with treason. The prosecutor, too, as well as all these judges who are letting career criminals out on the street with severely shortened sentences or charges dropped so that the rest of society has to deal with them. They should be charged with treason. Many of them deserve the maximum penalty of that crime.
Yep.
We should not have to live like this. We should not have to live like this very blurry woman here who is just trying to give someone a get-well-soon balloon when this happened.
That's the real issue. That's the real issue. You sitting here playing with me. That's the real issue. July 21st is the real issue. July 21st, that's the real issue. Nah, don't wave to me.
Obviously, I can't show what happened because this is YouTube, but it's pretty easy to find on Twitter.
She got assaulted, punched in the face with her glasses broken, left unconscious after waving politely to this aggressive black man walking towards her with a get-well-soon balloon for her sick daughter. And she got assaulted on the street. And he felt so comfortable to do it live on camera.
He basically filmed himself knocking this chick out, followed by repeatedly slapping her as she was unconscious on the ground. Then he later tries to attack another woman who, I guess, had better survival instincts and got away.
Yep.
Now, if you want a simple solution to this problem, then, cross the street. Don't sit next to certain people on the train. Keep it simple. Or, carry a weapon. The Founding Fathers gave you the right to do that for a reason. But Dequan Shafar, a name that definitely indicates a 99% chance he was raised by a single mother, had numerous prior arrests for violent offenses and appears to have been let out of jail around 2 years earlier for one of them. Hopefully they don't let him out this time.
Just because you are impoverished does not mean...
If you've repeated the same crime over 3 times, no matter what that crime is, I believe you should be killed. If you have demonstrated a multitude of times that you cannot change, you cannot be reinstitutionalized, you should just be, because we don't need criminals walking our street for fun. We don't need these people in our country at all.
Mean that you will be a criminal. But I do want to be clear that there is a direct link between poverty and susceptibility to having to engage in certain things. And this is something that I know up close and personal as a public defender. In fact,
You litter 3 times? Behead. It's that easy. Bitch.
Elected prosecutor in Dallas County, he specifically said, if I get people that are getting charged with a low-level misdemeanor for going and stealing food, diapers, like basic necessities, because they literally can't afford it. He's like,
out of desperation.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not locking you up, right? Like, I want
Yeah, bro. Stealing Kool-Aid and Chips Ahoy is out of necessity. Of course.
people to understand that there are crimes that are committed not because people are criminals, but because they literally are trying to survive.
Right. Socioeconomic factors caused this guy to try to randomly murder a woman who was just walking down the street.
Yep,
It's not his
true.
fault. He was poor and trying to find a way to get his next meal.
Yep,
Also,
true.
throw that Dallas prosecutor that Jasmine Crockett was talking about in jail for enabling theft.
True.
So understand what I mean when I say traitors, and understand what I mean when I say that zero of these strategies that these traitors use are new. A lot of it is just the art of war from Sun Tzu from over 2,000 years ago. He considered it a high honor to win wars without ever fighting. You do that by propagandizing your enemies to hate their own team, and by converting your enemies to your side. And you know, just skimming through his words here, it seems like a strong tactic that he used to convince people to support him was by bribing them. Give people a couple of food stamps and you'll have them towing the Communist Party line in no time.
Abolishing policing is one segment of reforming and reevaluating our criminal justice system, making sure that we are looking at decreasing our prison populations.
This is Francesca Hong, a DSA politician in Wisconsin, who famously said on Twitter that being around white people at Culver's gives her anxiety. Imagine if I said I wanted to leave a Popeye's chicken because I'm uncomfortable around black people on Twitter in 2019. The fact that this tweet is still live shows you the extreme double standard that Twitter used to have before Elon bought it in 2022.
True.
But recently, Francesca has been in the news because as a current state representative of Wisconsin, she's trying to run for governor. I found her campaign website. Let's see why she's saying that we should vote for her. The reasons she listed are because she's a restaurant worker and a chef. Aren't those the same thing? You had to put restaurant worker twice? Why else should we vote for her? Oh, she's a single mom. I had no idea that being divorced was a virtue.
I voted for Francesca Hung. It's nice to see someone who's like me. She's a single mom. I'm not a single mom, but I was at one point. She's a woman.
Well, okay, I guess I was wrong. I thought we should vote for people based on their policies, but apparently them being a woman and looking like you is enough. Now, for those who didn't see, Francesca...
Let's not forget the firefighter ads that were put up in California where they wanted to hire weak, lesbian, female firefighters to fight fires and save people's lives, and then met in one of those situations. They said, if I need to carry you out of a burning building, that's not on me. You shouldn't have put yourself there to begin with. Yeah, that's real, by the way. Look that up.
Lost the Wisconsin Democrat primary, so she's out of the race for governor. But she's still a state representative, which means her policy decisions do matter. And that being said, I don't believe her when she goes on the news and says, oh, I wasn't serious when I said that we should let people out of prison. And you know, this tweet from 2020 where I basically said that white people were a super spreader disease, yeah, I was joking. Right, her values have suddenly changed. And that thing that she said about releasing criminals was just a bad take.
You know, I was actually trying to become a sports journalist when I first went to college. So I learned then you have some hot takes, sometimes bad takes on Twitter.
She was 32 years old when she tweeted this super racist tweet about white people and said that we were a disease. It was not some high schooler tweet like she tried to pretend it was. And also, just a handful of days ago, she said she was going to get in the way of federal law enforcement when they try to deal with
This chick just lost the election, by the way. Fun fact.
Criminals.
You introduced the Keep Families Together bill, getting into ICE a little bit, to completely ban local law enforcement from collaborating with ICE.
I think it's paramount that the executive, again, wield to the fullest extent.
I can always tell when people will say the word paramount that they're trying to sound intellectual, because a normal person would just say important.
The power to ensure that we're protecting all communities from the enforcers of fascism.
Careful, don't speak too fast. You might actually make sense.
Which is ICE.
This is treason. Again, I know she lost the primaries, but she still is a state representative. And amongst the niceties and the intentional misdirection by calling it the Keep Families Together package, she literally ran her campaign for governor of Wisconsin by saying that she was going to commit treason and act against the interest of Americans by trying to stop ICE from deporting illegal aliens.
Insane.
Ironically, later in the live stream, she takes an America First position when talking about legalizing marijuana.
I think we have to make sure that it's, you know, creating an infrastructure and an economy that puts Wisconsin farmers first, that makes sure that Wisconsin entrepreneurs are first.
How are you Wisconsinites first when you're trying to give rights to people who cross our borders illegally? Violating border laws hurts Americans, which is why nearly everybody, outside of people who got radicalized in college, wants illegals to be deported. By the way, side note, I'm not trying to put Hassan in like every video. He just so happens to be associated with all the worst people on the internet. I swear this guy comes up so frequently by coincidence. that I could have my own legendary series. I'm just glad he's no longer hiding that he's a communist.
If there's one Marxist-Leninist doctrine that the Democratic Party should deploy, it's that. Follow the party line. No more factionalism. Abide by the party line.
Also, just to remind everyone, Hassan is not an American. He's an anchor baby whose parents made sure to give birth to in the U.S., so, in his words, he could become president.
I was born in New Brunswick, New Jersey, and my parents wanted to do that so that I would have an American citizenship, so that one day I could be the president.
And then he was immediately moved to Turkey after he was born here, where he stayed.
He only came back to America because he wanted to fuck white girls in college. That's how much of a loser this fucker is.
Until college.
Mandami's aide, his top aide, Sia Weaver, said if you don't believe in the government's sacred right to seize property, it's over, and impoverish the white middle class.
Beast mode. I love her so much. I'm 100% closer to the prison abolitionist perspective than the average American's framework on this issue.
It's crazy how fast it's happening. All of a sudden, it's like I'm wearing the Mao costume. I'm framing the newspaper about 9/11. Mamdani isn't extreme enough for me.
I wipe my ass with the Constitution. Motherfuck the Constitution and motherfuck this country, okay?
Why we allow people who cheat the system to be in our country, I don't know, but...
And how we broadcast them and promote them is even worse.
Clearly the rhetoric from these traitors against the American people works on a lot of normies, because many of them are now repeating the rhetoric that prisons should be abolished.
What do you think about the rise of communism here inside the United States?
That would be hard for me to answer unless we have a shared definition of communism.
Yeah, so for instance, right now here in New York City, they're now freezing the rent. They want Medicare for all. They want to tax the rich, redistribute the wealth. Zohar Mandami, he also wants prisoners to get released.
Okay, thank you for this.
Why the fuck would you ever want to release all prisoners? Like, New York is already a shithole that you can't walk down without being harassed by a homeless person. What do you think is going to happen when we release rapists and murderers on the street? It's going to become Somalia all over again, or even worse, the New Guinea cum warriors are going to come down here.
This definition, my thoughts are pretty positive. I feel aligned. I can't really speak to specifics, but I think I'm pretty pro-communism. I'm pro making things accessible. I'm pretty pro getting rid of prisons.
What in the suicidal empathy was that?
If any girl has straight bangs up near the top of their forehead, you immediately know that they're just retarded.
Also, that chick definitely speaks like she works in HR. By the way...
And it sucks because bangs can be really cute, but when they're up at that, there's a certain line where it's cute, 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 retard! You can really tell by how high up they cut that shit.
Did you guys count the number of bribes that were mentioned? I can't say anything that I specifically like about communism, but I do like it.
How can you like to get rid of prisons?
I'm not certain what prisons are actually doing for our society.
She's not sure what prisons are doing. Keeping the bad people away from the good people? I bet you if this guy asked that woman, should Donald Trump be in prison? She would say yes.
And so...
Would you like to have criminals out in the open?
Do I want criminals out in the open? Sure. I'm fine with that because the idea of a criminal is like a little bit funny to me.
Let's just say somebody who has raped a woman.
Totally.
Would you like them to be out in the street?
I think my answer is yes, even though that's a challenging answer to say.
This is the same type of person who says they want rapists and murderers outside on the streets because they deserve a right to live. This is the same type of person who says that borders shouldn't exist. There's no such thing as stolen land, who will then immediately go and abort her child because it has no right to live and it's their body, so they don't belong there. Oh my God. I mean, oh my God.
So if you got raped, would you like your rapist to be out in the street?
Well, like, let me finish, because I have been raped, and they are out.
Of course you have. Has there been a single woman on this earth that has not been raped yet? Legit.
In the street. And I'm not sure, like, them going to jail is a solution to, like, whatever's going on inside their heart.
Oh my God. This is it. This is the clip that took me to radicalization level 2. Oh my God. We just leveled up I have now become a more hateful human being just from watching this.
Or even my own heart that like contributed to that experience that I'm having. And I don't want more people to get raped, but I don't know for certain that going into a jail in the United States is going to shift anything inside of their like operating system so that they'll make a different choice again.
She thinks you can reform these people. That's
Oh
funny.
my God.
Like you can reform that Dequan guy.
Oh, you have to teach him that rape is bad. Oh!
Who was randomly assaulting women. That girl he punched was lucky she didn't die.
Yep.
The solution to that problem is capital punishment.
Yep.
I mean, this girl just set women's rights back like 100 years.
Yep.
Not to say that no criminal can be reformed. There are certainly people who do regret their actions, but there are also certain crimes and certain personality archetypes that should not be given a second chance. But when it comes to the conversation of rights, the founding fathers of America understood that there will always be abusive people who try to take over the government. That much is a guarantee. So the reason they gave us the first 10 amendments is to say, hey, people of America, based on our research and after lots of arguing with each other, these are the things that abusers always try to do. So we've written laws saying that they can't do them. It's your job to exercise these rights so people can't take advantage of you. And keep in mind that tyrants will routinely try to trick you into not exercising your God-given rights.
No, you don't understand. Her rapist is only a rapist until he dates her again. Oh. They're only a rapist because they broke up. My bad. Oh, I didn't know. Yeah, my bad, man, my bad.
The most common way that this is done is the police asking you if they can search your vehicle during a traffic stop. Unless you say yes or they show you a warrant, legally they're not allowed to do that. You have these rights for a reason. You have the right to keep and bear arms, not guns, not single-shot muskets. The amendment says arms. It's not exclusive of any weapon type. That law is there because the founding fathers believe that you have the right to defend yourself against, maybe a guy who randomly tries to knock people out on the street. It's not a coincidence that all these people from French
randomly, only white women,
Teskahong to Zohran Mamdani, are talking about releasing all the criminals years after illegally restricting people's rights to keep and bear weapons. You can't even get...
Did y'all see the clip where Mom Donnie admits that he's just taking advantage of stupid white liberals' empathy? And that he is like a fucking psyop for allowing infinite illegal immigrants into our country? That clip was fucking nuts.
Pepper spray in New York City. In fact, New York City is what you get when you let traitors take over your government and also routinely let them step on your rights. I swear the constant gaslighting about the state of their city from some New Yorkers is insane.
So what's your take? People are real down on the subway lately. They're saying it's getting more dangerous or something, but I still like taking it. I don't mind.
So your subway takes is that people should take the subway?
Yeah, the subway is getting a bad rap nowadays. There's a lot of negative press about, oh, this, that, or the other happened on the platform.
Okay, so I was just in New York City around 2 weeks ago, and I have to wholeheartedly say that the subway is a shithole. And I'm saying this as someone who likes New York City and has enjoyed multiple trips there. I get mad because instead of the wondrous city that New York could have, it's a place that constantly smells like weed and piss. The trains are filthy, they are constantly late, and your chances of getting assaulted on any given day are uncomfortably far from zero.
Yep.
I mean, the New York subway system was quite the culture shock, considering that my first experience with trains was Tokyo, Japan, where the trains are immaculate, and they write an apology note to your employer if they're late.
It just draws this notion that people are scared of each other and so non-empathetic a lot of times. Anytime I see somebody on the subway who's, struggling with something, I don't get scared necessarily. I just think, geez, that person's going through something. I wonder how they could be helped.
Yeah, I think, oh, this person's going through something. I should get the fuck away before they take out their aggression on me, like all of them do.
A little empathy.
Yeah.
Another case of suicidal empathy.
So
I don't care how
stupid.
hard a person's childhood was if they're trying to stab me. Actually, let me put it this way, since we're talking about the differences between New York City and a much better run city called Tokyo. In this past New York trip, I had to go the distance from LaGuardia Airport to my hotel in Times Square, which was about 10 miles. I feel like the risk of having your luggage stolen on the subway is so high that nobody in their right mind would try to accomplish this trip by taking the train, which, according to Google, is just $3. Instead, I had to take an Uber. Actually, I used Lyft because it was significantly cheaper. Uber was going to charge me around $100, but Lyft charged me about $65. $65 when it should have cost $3. Versus Japan, where you can take the train, going from Narita Airport into Tokyo, which is the much further distance of over 40 miles, is around $15 to $20, depending on where you stay in Tokyo. Actually, let me put it this way and be more extreme. Because it is safe to take all of your valuables onto the trains in Japan, it is almost the same price to go from Osaka to Narita Airport, which is around 350 miles of travel, as it is to Uber 10 miles from the airport to Times Square in New York. These are the fines that you pay for not exercising your rights and for not removing traitors from our government who refuse to enforce the law and want to get rid of prisons. You are paying exponentially more to travel in New York City because you have to worry about criminals robbing you. How much money are taxpayers paying in general to account for criminals that the government is refusing to punish? And understand that these government representatives are laughing at you. They will just openly admit to treason without a care in the world.
As long as I'm governor of this great state, Texas will be a land for the Indian community.
I'm not kidding when I say that this is treason. Understand that Texas Governor Greg Abbott said this in an environment where Texans have been incredibly outspoken about wanting to put a pause on immigration, and the governor clearly ignores them. In fact, recently in McKinney, Texas people were lined up out the door to speak out against foreigners coming into Texas and building mosques. The citizens of North Texas have overwhelmingly said that we don't want people building a bunch of foreign churches and foreign establishments on U.S. soil. So, of course, in response, naturally, the council voted 7-0 in favor of building the mosque.
And if this body continues to forget it is a government for the people, then it's time to start organizing a recall on every member who has chosen cowardice and silence or accountability.
A recall? No. These people don't need to be recalled. This was such a ridiculous violation of the interests of Texans in favor of foreigners, with ideas that are, by the way, incompatible with American culture, that these people should not just be removed from office. They need to be criminally charged with treason. As I said before, if convicted,
any judge found operating in blatant bias should be immediately jailed. I 100% agree with that.
Some of them deserve the maximum penalty of that crime. They should be afraid to work against the interests of Americans. And our mistake as a people is allowing them to feel comfortable with choosing foreigners over us. Again, it's a crime to do that. It's not just a simple difference of opinion. It's a crime to side with outsiders over your own people. Now, before things get too heated, allow me to say this. There's a difference between someone who merely disagrees with me and someone who I consider to be a traitor. I'm sure viewers of mine can guess what my political alignment is, and that being said, I don't consider people to be traitors to America merely because they're on the left. I'm talking about a very specific type of person like Hassan Piker, and I will also say that there are plenty of traitors on the right as well. I think Shoe on Head recently went semi-viral on Twitter for calling out Dan Crenshaw. And, you know, since Shoe on Head released that Woke 1.0 nostalgia video, I would also like to remind the old people in the audience that many of the people like June or Thunderfoot, who got famous off of criticizing Anita Sarkeesian during Gamergate over 10 years ago, are on the left. And don't make me remind everyone of how many reformed leftists used to be perfectly fine with racial slurs and argued in favor of their use. It may come as a shock to people who grew up during the woke era, but the left
shout outs to old iDubbbz. I remember when he used to be based. We all remember.
Used to be the party of free speech. That's why there's a war going on between the old left and the new left who grew up on social media. I mean, I'm old enough to remember that the Whole Food shopping, essential oil buying leftists were the original anti-vaccine crowd that hated Big Pharma. So when people like Francesca Hong go onto YouTube to talk about how they want to change culture, don't underestimate how effective their tactics are.
We have to concurrently shift culture in order to shift laws and regulations.
However, I do always find it refreshing to listen to people on the opposing side who aren't traitors because they have a great habit of saying things I never thought of or telling me new things I didn't know about. For example, Technology Connections is on the left, and holy shit, electric cars might actually be really cool and maybe can save people a lot of money.
Electric cars aren't just the future, they are the now, bro. A Tesla is the greatest car I've ever had, and I believe you can get a Tesla for as low as $22K, which is honestly a really good deal, and that's new. So I think Teslas are the now, bro. Self-driving is so good.
I didn't know that before watching this video. The reality is that people who think differently from you often have the most to teach you, which is why I find it so offensive when I see numerous communist sympathizers preying on the empathy of leftists as a way of trying to destroy America. People like that are why we can't have reasonable discourse like we used to. It is because of these traitors that many people in this country are now saying that their opposition should be murdered over disagreements. And also, how many families have been destroyed over this? How many people can no longer talk to their siblings or their cousins or their grandparents or their parents or their college-age children because those people have been ideologically possessed by anti-Western communist nonsense?
What, in your mind, is the difference between socialism and communism?
Easy, the body count.
I mean, there's many. One.
Man, hoes do be crazy, don't they? They do be fucking nuts. Good one.
Prevailing one is democracy. We believe in the ballot box. We believe in respecting the outcomes of elections and governing democratically and ensuring that the ideas and policies that are implemented are won through popular vote and popular opinion.
Look, they're still doing it. They're still lying to everyone and telling them that America is a direct democracy that decides everything by popular vote. The reason we're a republic and not a democracy is so that 51% of the population cannot tyrannize the remaining 49%. If we had a direct democracy where everything was decided by popular vote, then the entire country would be run by New York City, San Francisco, and Chicago, otherwise known as some of the worst places in America.
True.
There's a reason why we have districting and why we elect representatives to act on our behalf. It's to democratize power so that cities can't just make all the rules, especially when city ideas don't always work in the country. Our system makes it so that politicians still have to cater to people who lose the majority vote, especially when the prevailing party only wins by a few numbers. It is genuinely frustrating to watch traitors like this routinely lie about how our system works and why it works that way.
Yep.
Well, it's time for that to stop. It's time for Americans to stop being so passive and start taking action against the people who are trying to destroy our country. Here's the reality. People are always going to test limits and test boundaries, especially those who are abusive. The difference between a good parent or a good teacher or a good relationship partner and a bad one is that good people maintain their boundaries. Bad partners let others step all over them. Like the girl who says she will never date a cheater and then lets her significant other go outside of their relationship numerous times, yet won't break up with him because she's afraid. Well, I have to say that we have sat by and let many of our politicians cheat on us with other countries, and it's time to stop being afraid of giving those politicians consequences. And no, an appropriate consequence is not simply voting them out of office. An appropriate consequence is to criminally punish people for selling out our country to those who want to steal from us, kill us, and sexually abuse our women and children.
It's crazy how it is seen as a radical take to want to punish the very people who are trying to destroy us as a civilization from the inside out. You are seen as a radical for wanting to protect yourself. This is like saying it's a radical position to believe that you should open carry your guns in case someone tries to kill you. It's like, you're a radical if you shoot someone who just assaulted you. Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
Treason is a crime because these are the things that happen when traitors sell our country out to foreign nations, and it is a crime that should be punished severely. There's a reason why the maximum sentence is harsh, but I think one of the more valuable lessons that I've learned as an adult is that bad people are always going to exist, and you will suffer to the extent that you let people abuse you. And I know that sounds kind of negative, but quite often the difference between people who live happy lives and those who don't is that the people who are happy are willing to maintain boundaries and give appropriate punishments to those who try to abuse them. In fact, when it comes to reforming bad people, the only way to do that is to give them negative consequences.
I absolutely agree. And a lot of mothers will experience this when they raise their daughters as friends, not as daughters. And then those daughters will grow up to abuse their kindness and treat them like shit. You are not a bad parent if you teach your kids that actions have consequences when they step out of line. And that's why we need to bring discipline back into the household, because that is how children learn. When your kids do something wrong, they need to learn what they did is wrong. Teaching them that is not, it's not a bad thing.
Something to think about. Anyway, thanks for watching. Follow me on Twitter, and I'll see you in the next video.
4 out of 10 video. Fuck you, Sean. No, actually, amazing video. A lot of truth novas in that video. I appreciate Think Before You Sleep a lot. One of the greatest social commentators of all time. Go give him a subscribe.